This message is intended as a reminder that we are not licensed professionals, not psychiatrists or psychologists. If you have a serious problem, please seek professional help. The National Suicide Hotline is 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255.
There's some damsels in the DM.
Yes, queen.
Tell us what's the vibe. There's some damsels in the DM. Please tell us what's the vibe. DMs, yeah we see them, yeah we read them. DMs, we don't need them, we just leave them.
Please.
Yeah.
It's going down in the DMs. Bye.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Damsels in the DMs.
Hi.
What's up? Hi.
Hey.
Hi. It's so good to be back with you two. Yeah, I know.
You too.
I feel like it's been a while. It's good. We have these like little catch-ups.
Yeah.
Catch-up session. Catch us up. How you guys been? What's new?
So I have no updates on any dating excursions for the last 2 weeks. I have not been on a new date, and I'm just waiting for someone to either match me or a previous one to ask me, and there's been nothing.
Oh, they're not reaching out to you.
They're not reaching out. They're literally making small talk, and I'm like, you want to ask me out on a date? Or, because I'm not going to. I'm done with that. I'm done with reaching out to guys now. If you don't
Not a
want to reach
Bumble
out,
gal.
no, if you don't want to reach out to me, then you know what? I'm not reaching out to you. This is a new strategy I'm trying. It's not going.
So then you literally cannot go on Bumble.
No, and I will not go on Bumble.
Okay, just making sure that we're clear on
I don't want to do the work.
Speaking of getting on and off dating apps, though, this kind of reminds me of this article that we all kind of came across
Yes.
about Mr. Underwood.
Mr. Colton Underwood.
Dun, dun,
His little
dun.
stint on Grindr.
Yeah,
what I
what a
gathered.
stint.
What
Yeah.
a stint. And then now he's
Under
off.
an alias, no less.
Right.
So let's
Yeah.
go back and tell the listeners
Yes,
what
yes.
exactly happened.
Let's look at the facts.
Let's review the facts. Who wants to lay it out for us? You got it, Alejandro.
Yeah.
So apparently, Mr. Underwood has, well, I mean, obviously we know he was on The Bachelor in 2018, and he was an athlete in the NFL. I don't know which team he played for, but what I learned.
The Raiders. It was the Raiders. He got
Raiders.
drafted. He got pushed around and then ended up on the Raiders. That's only big for me because Brian's a big Raiders fan.
Brian's a big Raiders fan.
No, and I remembered that I have to bring this up to him about Colton Underwood being on the Raiders.
He also basically had a very short-lived career. He wasn't. I wouldn't even call him an NFL player because it was a very
Facts.
short-lived career.
Facts.
And I'm just being a hater, but
It's a fact. Literally, it is.
you were benched, so.
So we're going to do a little skimming. I mean, there was something about he was at a spa and then.
Which I really want to know the name of this spa because apparently it's a spa that caters to gay clientele. I'm sure we could just Google
in
it.
LA.
But I did want to ask. I thought,
that didn't say.
and you don't know? It's in LA.
I don't know. I haven't been. I mean, I've been to a spa, but I
God,
haven't
you
been
were
to
my
Is it one of
source
those-
who I was going to ask, and now I have to find another source.
Is it one of those massage spas, like the Thai massage?
I don't know, but it says it's a spa that in LA that caters to gay clientele. Apparently, it's well known. And people took shady photos of him, nude,
Yeah.
allegedly, and blackmailed him. And he says that's why he did the interview because he was blackmailed into coming out.
What?
Mhm.
But now he's also.
Oh, but it was. I'm sorry.
Oh, no,
Go ahead. I was gonna say
You said go ahead. I was gonna say.
no, because then he told me to go ahead. Because I have the facts on.
Yeah.
So you go, okay, so he got those pictures and then he told his publicist because he was like, the publicist is the only person who can't hurt me.
Mhm.
And then I think they reached the decision. But the publicist was the first person I think that he sent the photos to because they developed a plan, right?
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, now we have the facts.
Definitely.
Wow.
And then, I don't know. It's interesting how he is creating this platform to share his story and other people's stories of different identities too. There's another athlete who's on this Netflix thing that he has out, and then as well as
The Olympian.
another Olympian. So it's interesting. Yeah, he's just a white guy who's using his privilege to elevate the voices of others, which is interesting and complicated. So
Yes.
Mhm.
Well, and the other thing was that Cassie, who he ended up with from The Bachelor, has a restraining order against him.
Which,
Yeah.
can we
Yeah.
talk about that? What
Yes.
the fuck?
He
On her
put
car.
a GPS tracker on her car, and he was stalking her. And this is after they broke up, or whatever, and he was just super stalkery. So she
Yeah.
got a restraining order against him.
So that's the thing. It's like, yes, we're happy that he's coming out and like sharing his truth, and like we're happy to see more of an LGBTQ presence on The Bachelor.
Yeah.
But it's also like, this is somebody who stalked a woman, and like whatever society was like telling him, or like whatever, that was his, I think he says it was like his method of controlling the relationship, like controlling sexuality or something. But like now he has a TV show where he's going to be talking about this, which again is great. But his dad says something really interesting in the article about how like he wishes his son wouldn't always live his life out in the public.
Mhm.
So, and that's like kind of an interesting concept to me, because I don't know, it just does sort of feel like a lot of this stuff is to communicate with the public, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like, first you're on The Bachelor living out your dating life, then you're in like a very public relationship and you're kind of like trying to cling to that when you could make the assumption.
Mhm.
And then you're coming out on Good Morning America, and now you're moving on to a show, right? So like,
So, okay, what show? What's happening?
he has his own show.
He
He
has
has a
some show
Netflix
that's on
show
Netflix.
about his life as a gay man now.
And
That happened very fast.
Yes. And like,
that's what- yeah,
one
they're
could
saying-
say.
Okay, so
Yeah.
yes. So I think it has everything to do with him being a famous white man, because why aren't other people getting their own shows or
Well,
coming
and-
out?
they talk about that, don't they?
Yeah, they do talk about it, and there is someone who is highlighted in the in this special that has been created, who is also a member of the LGBTQ community. I believe she identifies as the T portion of the spectrum, but still,
And
I don't
she
know.
was black, I think, right?
I don't know.
There's somebody who's black that's interviewed in that article who basically addresses the fact that like this is a white man getting
Yeah.
this show.
Mhm.
And like it's a lot easier for this all to be lived out in the public because of his privilege as like a white straight presenting man.
Yeah.
And that all being said, I think she even addresses like, oh, well, like we're happy that these conversations are happening and that like the show is going to address and interview other people, but still like these are the facts of the matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think I'm really happy that that admittance was made by
Yeah.
that person.
Yeah.
It has to happen. People have to acknowledge that truth. But something else that struck me was the fact that he's also from the Midwest,
Mhm.
didn't have a real connection to any gay people
Yes.
at all.
Mhm.
I mean, no representation. There was no role model that he could either aspire to in the community or even in, well, he did say like Ricky Martin was, I guess, like a musician that he
Yes.
was fond of.
But-
Who isn't?
Yes.
Who
Who
isn't?
isn't?
Yeah. I
Mm.
love Ricky Martin.
Yeah.
But he also was very Christian or Catholic, right?
Yeah.
He came from a very religious household, and he thought it was a bad thing. He thought it was a sin to be gay. Like he literally, I think we talked about it. The reason why he went on The Bachelorette, he was like praying to God that if I get, like, show me a sign.
Yeah.
He got accepted onto The Bachelorette. That was a sign from God that he's not gay.
Mhm.
And so he thought, okay, so maybe I'm not gay. I got onto the show and then, suppressed it even more until I guess he was being blackmailed. I don't,
That's
do
a
you
whole
think he
bunch
would
of-
have come out if he wasn't being blackmailed?
No.
It
Like-
doesn't feel that way.
No, it doesn't
No,
seem
right?
at
Like
all.
this is not something that he wanted to ever probably face or deal with till maybe much later in his life.
And the fact that the first person he went to was his publicist.
Come on. Yeah,
That's kind of
exactly.
telling as well.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I thought about that too, about what he was saying about like he had no gay role models in the football community.
Mhm.
And like, yeah, I do think that's interesting. I also had no idea he was so passionate about football. I was like, your football career feels like really behind you, but
Oh my God.
it's like,
Someone
oh,
who had a very
we're-
short-lived football career.
yeah, so yeah.
I'm really passionate about
Yeah, but,
sport.
I'm so sorry he didn't have the role models. No, I am actually really sorry he didn't have the role models.
No, yes, that sucks. I mean,
Yeah.
the football, sports in general is such a macho,
Yes.
male-dominated steroid that I know that there are a lot of suppressed gay men who are athletes and they just can't come out because of the industry that they're in, and it's just so toxic. And like homophobic men are fucking scary and dangerous. And
And sometimes the same people who are hooking up and going to these
Yes.
Yeah.
queer spaces that are allowed for the
Well, and
created
like-
for the community.
Okay, so then did you guys watch the Netflix special with Aaron Hernandez?
yes.
Oh
My,
my
God,
God.
I binged through that. That was the
I did too.
scariest, juiciest. It was literally, I watched it in like 2 days, maybe a day and a half.
Same. I had
Oh
to.
my God, I had to know what happened and like what is going on in this person's brain.
Yeah.
And to know that, like, I mean, yes, he had a lot of pressure and like there's so much put on a young person at his age
Yeah.
and reaching the level of stardom that he was able to skyrocket to. But it's been a while. But from what I remember, like they kind of tried incorporating something about his sexuality into
Yeah, they
the
did.
narrative. I wasn't sure what to make of it, like whether it was them trying to demonize homosexual or gayness.
Well, didn't
or,
they say that the
like,
reason that he killed the guy was because he knew that he was gay? Like he had some information about Aaron being gay, and that was why Aaron killed him.
I didn't know that.
oh, maybe he's still-
I didn't know that.
I
I
could be
just
wrong.
thought that he had a lot of suppressed anger or just, you know, whatever is happening with him. Like he'd been experimenting with boys since he was in high school. One of the old teammates / best friends, he's gay, openly gay. And he came out and he was like, we had been messing around in high school, but I think Aaron was just in this football world. And also, you know, mental illness and the fact that he had to kind of hide this
Yeah.
big part of himself really does fuck someone up.
What was his mental illness? Do you remember?
I don't know, but he had a lot of issues. And he was a very angry human being and very homophobic,
Yes.
super homophobic. And he just go out and kill people and knowing that he can get away with it.
Well, yeah, and I want to talk about the fact that it seems like the NFL also has the most issues with violence towards women of any of the sports leagues. To bring it back to Colton Underwood, that kind of bleeds into like putting a tracking device on somebody's car. Like,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Also, I think football is such an aggressive sport. You have so many concussions, like that does a lot to
Yeah.
someone. But okay, I want to hear about the grinder situation with Colton.
Yeah.
Well, he had like a period of time when he was on the app and was dating, but he was on there anonymously, and he had always like dealt with paranoia because he was worried that someone was going to out him at some point, or you know, just that whole like just dealing
Yeah.
with like being on the app in secrecy. It's interesting because I can understand the struggle or
Yeah.
the trials and tribulations of coming from a very conservative background and having parents who are super religious
Mhm.
and
Well, I was going to say that
Yeah.
because the Latinx community like is often very religious also, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, when I came out, like it was how it happened was like kind of like a slow evolution. And the first like 2 or 3 friends that I told, I was like so nervous. The butterflies were insane. It turned out to be like a more positive conversation that I had anticipated. The person that I was most excited to tell was, well, not most excited, but most nervous, was my best friend at the time. And, you know, after having like those few practice rounds, like, all right, with them, it's okay, this and that. I got the totally opposite reaction from a really close friend. And I internalized it in a way that I thought the whole world was going to respond this way, including my parents, including my family, just everyone. So I freaked out, attempted suicide that night, and then recovered. And during that recovery process, it was interesting. The psychologist that was assigned to me at that time convinced me that it was important to share with my parents why. And he wanted me to come out to them while I was there. So it was just like
While you were at
That's a
psychology,
lot.
while I was recuperating. You know.
that's a lot of pressure.
That's a lot.
It was a lot of pressure, yeah. But it was like at the time just trying to like, you know, come to normalcy or come to
Yeah.
a state of normalcy, and then trying to, you know, be aware of, you know, my soon return back home to be with my parents freaked me out, and I was just like, fuck, like I need help. Like, so he ended up helping me come out to them, and it was just like an interesting transition.
Mhm.
I mean, at first, like, we'll deal with
Like
this
this
later
is
sort
a
of
big
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll deal with this. Okay,
Yeah.
Let's get you better first. Let's get
Yeah.
you help.
Yeah.
And then, you know, once I got home, it was rocky. I mean, it was just an adjustment period that was like really intense.
to them knowing that you were gay.
Mhm.
Mhm.
There were attempts to try and like have a conversation. I remember with a family friend who happened to be a priest, because my godfather was also a priest. It was like a conference that they tried facilitating, but it was really funny because I was just sitting there the whole time, just totally disgruntled, looking at the floor, not even paying attention to anybody. I like knew how to. My
Switch
face
off.
has always been aggressive, so like,
Yeah.
and I just was very much being the opposite of like wanting to be there. You know, that happened in the springtime.
How old were you?
That was when I was 16.
Okay.
And did your friend know that they were like the root kind of this happening and like sent you into this kind of spiral?
Interesting that you say that. Well, first I want to say back to my parents.
Yes,
before
I'm
we go to
sorry.
that.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
let's
want to.
talk
I don't want to lose that.
Okay.
That's a really interesting story.
Okay.
But my parents although it was really tumultuous in the beginning, I think what's really important is the gratitude that I feel now as far as how quickly that transition took place. Because like I said, springtime was when I had come out. By summer, my mom ended up buying myself and my boyfriend Gloria Estefan concert tickets.
Aww.
So it's really cool how through points of disagreement, we can somehow reach bridges of understanding,
Yeah,
regardless of how
acceptance.
intense the circumstances are.
Mm-hmm.
Back to that particular friend. We ended up going to the same university together. We only had
Michigan,
like
go
Blue,
Wolverines.
go Blue.
Timberwolves. What is it?
Wolverines.
Wolverines.
Oh.
Wow.
I thought you knew. That's why I was like, oh my god.
She said the, what did you say?
Timberwolves.
I heard Wolverines. I was like,
I know,
oh,
I
okay.
said Wolverines. I said
Yeah, right.
Wolverines.
I got it wrong. I went to Big Ten too, so it's funny that I didn't know.
Yeah, and I knew. Anyway.
Wait, which weekend?
I went to University of Wisconsin-Madison and then transferred to Purdue.
Holy shit, that's
Yeah.
so cool. Oh my god.
Yes, Midwest.
Purdue, I always think of the
Tasty.
chicken.
Oh, that's PER.
Oh,
We're PUR.
No, they're both PUR, are they not?
I thought it was
I thought
PER.
PER
I
for
think
the
it's
chicken.
PER for
Oh,
chicken.
shit.
Yeah.
We would know where we went.
That's
to.
right.
But you didn't know that it
Um,
was the Wolverines.
Oh, wait, no. Okay, so let me
Okay, back to
finish
back.
my story.
Yes.
Sorry.
So-
A friend.
We fell out. I mean, in high school, that's what, I mean, after I came out, we fell out. And then in college, I knew he was on campus, but we like kind of crossed paths, but rarely, I was in the distance. Then,
Oh, that's so sad with your best friend.
truly.
Yeah, it's so
But
weird.
like by college, like I was over it. Like
Yeah,
I was a new,
fuck that person.
I had
To be
evolved
honest.
and like I was
Yeah.
kind of over that friendship. So junior year, he fucking disappears. We had classes like sociology and Spanish, and then he disappears. Stops showing up to class. My professors are asking, we saw you working together sometimes on things. Have you heard from him? Da-da. Nothing. So then another friend of ours who was also on the swim team, we were like, all really close. He was also at U of M.
I literally had no
We-
idea you were on the swim team.
I didn't know you were on the
Continue.
swim team
That's
either.
a conversation.
Oh my god, we went to nationals and shit. Like it was.
I
cool.
did too. I was on the rowing team. Look at the
Dope.
student
Oh
athletes.
my god. Come to
NCAA, Division One.
Okay, Olivia
Damn.
Jade. Just kidding.
Oh my god, congrats. That's really awesome, man. So like that other friend, we also were like, we had similar classes together. So we were like, what the fuck happened to him? Like, where did he go? No news, nothing. Years go by. And this is now, I want to say 4 years after graduating. So flash forward to, 4 years after graduating, and I'm with a friend at this bar, and we were just, trying to kick it. It was a crowded night. There was like all sorts of music, and there was a karaoke going on. And at this particular spot, like there's a theater down the street. So the theater crowd would always come to karaoke night. And they would show us up. Like it was fuck. I can do a busted Amy Winehouse any day. But when it comes to
Those
the
theater
theatrical
kids.
oh my god, they just took over the fucking mic. So it was just like no chance anyone sounding good. On this particular night, there's this guy who is doing an Aladdin sign. And he was just super ham about it, and just like it was.
She wasn't
really
one of
funny.
those theater kids, let me tell you that.
No, it was.
I said she's in Paris, wasn't gone. Gotta take a wish, gotta make a chance. Wasn't get along. Wrong. Anyway,
I wish I knew the song.
what's up? Gotta think of man.
So he was singing Aladdin. Then I'm at the bar with my friend, and we're getting a drink. And then all of a sudden, that guy who's on the mic comes up to us, and he's just like, "Hey, what's good?" Da, da, da. So like we hit it off, and he's just like, "Oh, come join us. We're over here at a table." So he's like, "All right, well, let me get our drinks first."
A table.
So we
In
so
Michigan.
we get
Bottle
our, our drinks, and we go to the table where he is at with his friends.
Mhm.
At that table is my ex best friend from like high
Jeez.
school.
Wow.
And this is a gay bar.
Oh,
I knew it. That detail was missing at the top.
I knew it.
So-
Oh my god, I called it in my head. I wish I said it out loud. But
So when I approached the table, like it was really bizarre because like I had never expected to see him in my life. I really I reached closure and
Yeah,
was just
yeah.
like, okay, like I put that on my mind. So I'm approaching the table and I'm seeing him there, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? So I was like trying to be calm about it, and then
oh my god, I
he
can't even
ended up,
imagine
like,
what's going through your head.
And
when
then
you see
is he dropping out of school?
No. This is after we graduated.
This is
So
4
this-
years
But he was missing from class. So I
Yeah,
was
what
like,
happened? What's the
Where was
story?
he in class?
we never actually got to that. Actually, no. So we never
Why
got
do
to-
I ask all the questions?
So we never got to that, but
This.
when he very quick when I approached the table, he pulled me aside. He had this sincere apology that was almost like it was like this speech that he had prepared
No, like he knew that one day this moment was going to come.
Almost. That's almost exactly how I felt. I was kind of taken aback because one, it was like fucking the ghost. It was not fucking the ghost.
What? Yeah, we're at Aladdin. Now we're at the table. Now we got the ghost.
No.
Oh my god, literally the thing wants to know if we want to play music. That was because of my singing. By the way.
No, yeah, it was like, would you rather listen to the actual song than her? And we're like, yes.
I love how Osh goes, like, I knew it in my head.
I didn't know it in my head.
I called it.
In my head. I wish I said it out loud so people would believe me, but I knew it. I was like, this guy. I knew it.
It was wild though. I mean, and we had hung out, and the person who was on the mic singing the Aladdin song, like, we ended up becoming closer than my.
Well, this friend, just like, side note, kind of like shitty because he's making you feel horrible about this, and then here he is at a gay bar. How about some empathy, or like, can we not relate to humans that are going through the same thing that we are?
But also, what can you, if you are okay with telling us, what was his story that he told you? This whole
He wants the
elaborate
apology speech. Maybe you can do a
apology.
monologue.
Yes, the apology speech. I don't
Okay,
remember.
I just want to know details.
He was just really nice and comforting. Like, he was apologetic. That's what it was. He was
Yes.
apologetic, and
So he knew he had effed up.
he totally knew. It was just like an awkward situation.
Yeah, how do you respond?
How do I respond?
Yeah.
Like I said, shock, and I was just like, I thank you for that. I wasn't expecting that, and I didn't even want anything like
Yeah.
that. So for me, it was just like I didn't have a response prepared.
Right.
So to have this,
Yeah, because he had his whole thing prepared.
right, and that's
He
the thing,
didn't
like,
send you
for
the
him to,
memo.
like, present this to me, it was just like, okay, like, thanks. Like,
Yeah.
But did he? What did he come out to you? Is he gay? Do we know this?
He
the
must
person who was
be.
on the microphone who invited us to the table was his boyfriend
Oh.
through college.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay. You know what bothers me is that you already know you're gay. You're dating someone
Yes.
you're openly gay through college. He saw you in college. Why not apologize to you there and then? You had the same classes. Why wait 4 years later when you happen to be at the same bar to give you that apology? It's
I
like,
appreciate that, but I mean, I guess I do want to like kind of
You're getting
come correct as far as my
way
tone, because I
defensive.
hear like I'm getting like elevated and all that, but like I mean, what's done is done.
you're right. It's yeah.
And, like,
And at least you did get that apology.
yeah,
you know.
But I had heard rumors while we were on campus about some shady shit going on with him and like whoever else, and I believed it. 'Cause
You're
I
like,
mean,
it's none of
I
my
was like,
business, but
that's exactly how it was.
because
Yeah.
you're so far
Yeah.
removed from this whole thing now because of what had happened
But
that
it
in
still
your head
was like,
you're like,
oh my god,
right.
And like,
This-
of course, you can be friends with whoever for a reason, but I also think that especially in high school, which is such like a growing point for so many of us, like you do gravitate to people who you have similarities with.
It's just sad because obviously he was also a child. He was 16
Yes,
years
of
old when
course.
all of this was happening. So it is just sad to see that kids, like have to suppress this part of themselves that's so big and
And you were doing something so brave.
so brave.
Yeah.
But that scared the fuck out of him to see you
Somebody
doing that.
doing
That he's
it.
like, fuck, I'm gonna probably have to face it.
Yeah.
I mean, if he even knew, he probably knew about himself. That sucks. It's easy for me to sit here and be like, fuck him. But then you really think about it and it's like, I
Well, it's
don't know
also
what
like
it's
I
like.
get like we had similar
Yeah.
cultural upbringing. It's like
Mhm.
although he was not of the same ethnicity, there was still like a really strong family dynamic, family
Yeah.
bond. I got that. It was like
You
I saw
knew.
both sides. Like I
Yeah.
understood both sides.
Yeah.
Like, but,
It's so
like,
interesting
I
when
didn't
we
understand
like
that.
can recognize people who are being obnoxious to us and know where it's coming from.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
separating how it makes you feel versus having empathy for the place that they're in, that they're doing that.
Yeah.
On that note, we're so happy to have you exactly as you are.
Yeah,
on
we
this
love
podcast.
you. And I'm so happy I know you.
Yeah.
That's everything too.
And we're so happy that you get to know him.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay. So until next time.
Oh, that's it. All right.
It's
that
going
is it.
down in the DMs.
Bye.
Bye.
DMs, we don't need them. We just leave them.
Please.
Yeah.
It's going down in the DMs. Bye.